Hello there, everyone. So welcome to another episode here on Oxyotl, episode 21, and I have Hold to Your Vision or the Priests. I actually think getting to the end of the tech is really good because it will just make my armies that much better, and I haven't been investing in redline skills as I typically do with my lords, which has been a problem. I mean, I'm swimming in money, but my armies are having some difficulties. That is the one thing I would have changed in this campaign. So overall, I teleported here to deal with an army, and now I'm actually in a great position to attack Skarbrand, actually. And there's a lot of Lizardman armies here, so I don't think he's going to come over against me. Should I just stop or should I attack? I think I am going to attack later on. So Otali just is fine with some of the units. I would love some massive units, but I really prefer to have like just something that can clear out masses of clan rats and Skaven slaves as quickly as possible. So a couple of miners are going to help really well. And that's the example of just building towards your enemy, right? Miners with blasting charges are great just to clear up some chaff really fast. And that's how I want it. Okay, so I couldn't reach Brigon as well. Can I reach Temple of Kara? At least in Tlanxla. At least let me get some level of footholds. Come on. At this point, I really don't want it. I just want them to capture so that I can confederate. But if I don't capture it, my strength doesn't increase. And if it doesn't increase, well, then we have that problem. I don't know. One thing is that the Lizardman faction has been removing all of their treaties with me. Krokar has been removing all the treaties with me, so I might as well get ready to be betrayed. So that's why I'm moving my forces there, even though my target would always be the Nagash, the followers of Nagash, so Arkan the Black. That's the next target, and that's going to be a really difficult one. Okay, more sorrows or recruiting costs for skinks. I'm recruiting skinks at the moment, so yeah, let's go for it. I'm also recruiting temple guards, and I think that those count as sorrows. So maybe I didn't decide properly. So Bretonia, I'm not even going to show a battle against Bretonia at this point. It just has been nothing, really. Literally, I had like one battle against the settlement and that's it. Yeah, I decided to conquer here with Oxyotl, and I'm gonna ambush and see if he falls for the ambush, because I would love if he would move instead of replenishing there. Otali also could ambush. This is such an interesting army because it's nothing that I just concocted it because I had a Pterodon building there, even though it's not exactly the army that I would build with this guy. Okay, I need some more lords, and the idea here is that I'm gonna try to do some more development there. I'm gonna show you in the end what I'm thinking in terms of the units. It's just a couple of slides. I always use it's not PowerPoint, but it's a similar tool to PowerPoint to do this, to check it out, So. What do we do? I kind of want to leave them there. Do I want a net of Amintokens there? Yeah, I kind of... Here's the deal. I should be going for the red line skills. Yeah. I'm going to have to invest that later on. Because that alone would make my armies way more powerful in battle. And I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that the AI has, proper armies. If this was me fighting, endgame stuff, I would be struggling because they would have all their upgrades and I don't. So I'm using this a little bit on the idea of surviving through the magic, through abilities and stuff. And I don't feel as comfortable with that. Don't feel as comfortable there. But yeah, I'm always very comfortable with the red line skills. But I tried to go to see for the economy. I know that Lizardmen have a poor economy, but in this case I'm having so much money that I'm reconsidering whether or not Oxyotl should have been even played like that. Of course, he is perfect, but he cannot be everywhere. And I have some armies here that I'm like, yeah, definitely should have some Lord Recruit ranks so that I could get immediately red line skills and such, which is a big problem. So like this Lord, it's turn 90, this Lord starts at 1. That's something that the Lizardman, you can do. You can plan it out to have all those stars chambers, but at the same time, you don't build up some specific units. So, no, where do you draw the line? I was never too much into building up the lords instead of fighting. I kind of like the idea of taking 1 to 50, a lord from 1 to 50, instead of just having, like on Gorbat, I was recruiting level 49 lords every turn. So I was like, it really wasn't, it didn't feel like I'm leveling them up. It just feels like I'm drawing them from thin air. You know, masterful generals out of thin air. So, I'm going to do my typical renaming. This is something that I like to do just to ensure that I know, in case they are wounded or anything like that, to make sure that that I get it. Okay, I can get a Skink Priest. I would prefer a Skink Oracle, but it's difficult to have the Oracle increased level. Because it takes level 5 to do that, so yeah. Potekevet is now going to be Lim Mib Caster. And it's just so much better to do that. Okay. Because yes, sometimes it happens that they get wounded and you completely forget where you were. Okay, the Awakening, I can get income from all buildings 5% faction-wide. Oh, goodness. Now, do I want military here? I could go for that Star Chamber, actually. Oh, Geometric Web. Yeah, let's go Geometric Web. Even though it doesn't affect me there, it affects the nearby ones. Okay. I'm having a lot of post-battle loot as well because of the buildings that I'm getting. Because they all have this sort of effect as well. Some control, some corruption. So I'm thinking destroying some buildings here just to get... Yeah. See, the Lord Recruit rank for the Slans would be so great actually there. You know. And then I would just recruit Slans because they would be fine. Okay, I can get a trade agreement with Zarina. And she's strength rank 3, for real? Kislev? Oh, Kislev is always powerful. So Oxyotl is lowering there, so it's kind of cool. They're almost into the Confederation level. So that's good for us. I kind of want to finish off Corn, actually. And I have a great opportunity because they only have one place, actually. So let me build a sanctum here. Just to reduce the upkeep and this. These sanctums really nice with those ambushes. They're really cool. I haven't shown you too many, but they are really cool. And the enemy failed to spot my ambush. I could out-resolve and lose just one red-crested skink, but I really want to fight it out. Really want to test out these guys against Chosen. Well, one unit of Chosen. Skarbrand is the biggest deal. And let's try it out. So how am I going to deploy on their backs, basically, and see if my staggered line will be able to handle all of that. That's a lot of heavy Corn infantry. Bastiladons with the revivification crystals are going to... by the way, I don't show it, of course, but they are always healing stuff, and that's why these guys survive. In battle, I'm mostly focused on either focus fire or just spamming abilities and ensuring that everyone is alive. So it's much more important than, for instance, people talk about cycle charging, you know, certain units. And I understand that, but I like my micro to be saving this unit or saving that unit rather than just getting more damage done. It's the same principle. It's the same principle. If I save my units, you know, of course I don't lose them. If you cycle charge, of course you cause more damage, and in the end the enemy doesn't have the time to cause the damage to kill your units. But I always find myself being more comfortable trying to save my units rather than trying to do damage. I don't know if I think that comes from StarCraft 2, honestly, where you try to save up your units instead of just doing damage. So yeah, I guess that. So solar engines going against the chaos spawn, that's good. Killing some of the models. Actually, one shot doesn't kill them. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So there we go. That's another spawn dead. And that whiffed. That's sad. If it didn't whiff, that would be much better. And you can see, because he has the skull cannon, he's just happy to trade. For a while, of course, but that gave me like a couple of, like, maybe 5, 6, 7 shots without having to suffer too much, and all it took is just a couple of shots from him. So let's watch. First, I'm gonna attack the flyers. Flyers always a target. It's always easy for your units to shoot at, okay, and it's always really important that you take them out as soon as possible, because they're gonna go and harass your backline. Look at that, he's already halfway through. He's likely gonna die really soon. I didn't have the time to attack the secondary flyer, and I'm sending chameleon stalkers against this whole set of units. Oh goodness. Yeah, there we go. There's some comets going in. There's not a lot of infantry there, so I'm catching cavalry units and I'm catching some infantry units as well, so but that was good. And I'm sending in some of my, of course, my dinosaurs to soak, because now the chameleon stalkers, as you can see, I've been healing them, and still they're suffering because this is a lot of punishment. That's a lot of damage there. Here comes Skarbrand. Time to target him. Actually glad that I'm out of his mass rampage, so that I can keep targeting him. That was a key point. You always have to keep to ensure that your missile units are not there. This is a flock of doom on the whole enemy front line, and I hope with the poison that it helps me thwart the enemy ambitions here. I also have my ROR unit, the Ancient Stegodon there. He sometimes causes some damage, which is great. Also use a chain lightning, and suddenly Skarbrand is really low, actually. So I'm trying to attack him, and it's cool, but I'm also having to deal with other entities. The Pale Death here against these blood beasts. I guess he can do it, or at least he can survive for quite some time and do a good matchup against them, especially with some stalkers nearby. But I think at this point I'm already in the advantage. I didn't even need the reinforcements. Using the laser wasn't that good. It dodged, but it was perfect to cause the necessary damage to cause the army losses. So sometimes it doesn't need to cause the damage. It just needs to help me win the battle, and it did. And yeah, that was Skarbrand. I didn't lose anything. It was close, so instead of a Pyrrhic victory, honestly. And do I get treasury? Do I get harvest materials? I don't know. Okay, let's get that. There we go. And now I moved in, and I'm gonna try to get Death Gorge here. It's gonna be tricky. I think I'm gonna send my other army too. There's a couple of armies from Skaven, but I don't think they are threatening Karak Azagal as the same. That's a huge garrison actually, but it has some Skaven slaves. So what I want here is to hopefully ambush one army. And I have a massive garrison, so I can ambush one army and the other one will retreat. That's my thought process. If there's any further armies there, I'm toast. That always happens. It's always a problem. I don't have actually a scout hero there, and I'm regretting it at this moment. This is also nice because whenever I see myself playing, I sometimes realize, oh, hold on. that's what was missing. I didn't have a scout hero there. So I was using the sanctums. I was deploying the sanctums to have vision, which also helps. It's kind of a little bit of scouting, but having a hero also detects, armies in the vicinity. So it's kind of important that you always use a hero if you can. So I'm checking who I should. Where is this? Yeah, this is never going to be seeing battle. So neither is this. So if the enemy reaches here, I'm in deep trouble. So yeah. I can destroy some of those garrison buildings to build some recruitment stuff. And right now I want recruitment stuff just to ensure that the global recruitment duration is lowered, and at the same time that I have like a couple of places provinces where I can recruit a full good army to send. It takes like, with the time to build them, to recruit units, and with the time to send over to the front line, it takes like about 10 turns, 5 turns, which is acceptable, at least for me. Yeah, I'm having to keep an eye on the lizardmen here, which I didn't really want. I wanted to confederate. I'm kind of regretting that I went to alliance with the dwarves. They did provide some good units, but I mean, they haven't grown too much, so I'm gonna have to betray them later on. But I predict maybe turn 150, I'll have the whole Southlands, and by the turn 200-ish, likely the whole map. I'm gonna aim at that. How are you gonna do that? You're still so far away. Well, I'm gonna try. Really gonna try. So, and overall, the biggest problem is that we're gonna have a Order Tide versus Order Tide situation later on. So I want to check what is in the Misty Mountains. No enemies. That's good. And those ambushes, you might think, oh, those do nothing against a 20 stack. No, but they're very good to catch those in preparation. So it's always nice. So as you can see here, I'm just showcasing the armies that I want and the notes that I take. Okay, you can pause and see those armies and see the ideas. Okay, but that's in essence what I do. I just try to go, okay, I'm going to follow the template, or I'm just going to build anything at random. But yeah, now you have some idea of what I plan on behind the scenes. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.